Hello Libra, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for December for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the key strands to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you, in forensic detail, all the key influences particularly relevant to your sign. Now we have to be really mindful of the role of Venus, your ruler. And right at the start of this month, Venus is in a sparky opposition with Mars. Now Mars is in the part of your scope to do with adventure, breaking free of restrictions, but it is still in retrograde. But there could be a meeting of minds at the start of this month, or a bit of a standoff if you and someone else sees an issue in a very different way. And part of the reason for this is that Mars is going to be so closely allied to the full moon, which occurs on the 8th. This is quite a volatile combination, to be honest, but the Sun, your ruler, and Mercury, the planet of communication, start this month in your sector of everyday communication. So maybe an exchange of ideas can bring something into the open in a positive way, or maybe you're setting your boundaries over your beliefs and something that means a lot to you, particularly if you feel that with that very, very big impact of Pluto, particularly if you're born later in Libra or your ascendant is later in Libra, that's bringing quite a lot of politics around the family or your emotional ties to the fore in recent times. So there could be a frank exchange at the heart of this month. So excited to tell you all about that. But also Jupiter, the planet of growth and of course a good fortune, moves back into your sector of relationships on the 20th. So that's really, really good news. And also right at the end of this year, Venus, your ruler, is very close to Pluto as we bring the curtain down on the year. This is going to make you feel very poignant and perhaps even nostalgic about some close emotional relationships. There may even be a surprise reconnection or communication on the family front, or it may be that because you're getting clearer about what you want, that you're really going to stand your ground on a sensitive issue. But please stay with me for more. If you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast and understand what year 2023 will hold for you personally, if you give me 3 pieces of birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you your forecast. If you order it in year 22, you'll get the rest of that year free. Plus in my special package, you can get your life roadmap, your character analysis. Having this will help you to understand some of the repetitive patterns that have come up in your existence, perhaps the more challenging ones, but also the ones that give you opportunities. And having a deeper understanding of those can help you to really flourish in this new year. In my special package, you can get 30% off, so please see the link beneath this video. Also, if you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you already have, thank you so much for your continued support and views. So Libra, as you come into December, the Sun, Mercury and Venus, all in the sign of Sagittarius, has a lively feel to it. Now obviously this can be a social part of the year, and you may find that there's going to be lots of emails and text messages and instant messages pinging backwards and forwards, and you could find yourself drawn towards someone who's very charismatic, perhaps a bit of a free spirit, and maybe their ideas are actually quite different to yours, but you may see them as being quite authentic, which can be quite attractive to you. And part of this is because Venus, your ruler, is challenged by Mars right at the start of this month. But that can create quite a lot of sexual chemistry. So if there is somebody you encounter, their ideas, as much as their persona and looks, probably going to be a big part of the attraction, or perhaps in some ways the revulsion, but that doesn't mean to say that there won't still be some kind of draw to this particular person. It's also possible that there can be some frank exchanges, as I mentioned in the intro. But the great news is that Saturn and Uranus, which have dominated in that right angle for the last 2 years, they really start to stretch apart from the third. Also, Neptune has been in that very tricky right angle with Mars over the last couple of months. That also ends around the 3rd too, and on the 4th Neptune goes direct. It's probably felt since 2012 that you've had to do a lot of giving and a lot of sacrificing in order to keep the peace. I think Neptune going forwards is going to ease that a little bit, and Mars is definitely going to emphasize your desire for freedom over a kind of feeling that you're the one who always has to sacrifice your freedom for other people's needs. However, there is on the 6th the relocation of Mercury. Mercury moves out of that 3rd house, where it's very dexterous and lively and nimble, into the 4th house. You may find yourself thinking or feeling a bit more sensitive with that change, but on the 8th, that full moon in Gemini is very, very potent. When you put the moon and Mars together, you're talking about two very disparate energies. The moon obviously is how we feel, we emotionally relate, how we nurture, whereas Mars is our desire and instant gratification. So the 9th house is very much a need for to be free, adventurous, but also probably or possibly outspoken. So with Mars there, you may be surprisingly strident and to the point in how you express your opinions over the following 2 weeks. But if anyone's got any doubt about where you're coming from, that's definitely going to be clarified. Now the Sun is going to be broadly opposite Mars from the 5th through to the 10th. And one of the features of this, I think, is that you could feel quite restless. So even though it's late in the year and generally there are a lot of demands for people, I think if you can do some additional exercise, it's probably going to be a good thing. Some scales may be jetting off somewhere last minute because it will just be that much harder to sit on your hands. But ironically, on the 10th, just as that Mars-Sun opposition ends, Venus moves into your 4th house, and home actually really could start to feel a lot more appealing, even if you had that early restlessness in the month. Some last minute changes to your abode, particularly if guests are coming, is something you may be considering, whether it's decorative, moving furniture around, preparing a guest room. But Venus in the 4th house can also make you a lot more aware of family dynamics and relationships. And of course the sign of Capricorn is quite traditional, so if there have been changes in your situation with Pluto moving through Capricorn, as Venus meets with Pluto at the end of this month, all the politics and emotions around that are going to come very much more to the fore. Yet in week 2, the Sun forges a brilliant link with Saturn. If there is something that needs to be arranged or discussed, you can do so with clarity and get a good plan in place. But the 10th to the 17th sees the Sun in a square with Neptune. Once more, it feels that however much you try to clarify your position, somehow or another, those that you're needing to relate to may be evasive, not as committed, not giving you a clear steer of where they're coming from. And your energy could also dive a little bit across those days. But certainly the 20th and Jupiter moving into your opposite sign is something to really appreciate, because Jupiter through to the 16th of May gives you a wonderful, glorious window of opportunity to bring a more positive dimension to all sorts of interactions and relationships. The 21st, however, sees the Sun move into Capricorn and the winter solstice, and this ushers in the last of the 4 cardinal quadrants. So for the next 13 weeks, this is an opportunity for you to really be thinking very seriously about where you live, how you live there, and who with. But Jupiter is squaring up with this particular event, as it does with the new moon of the 23rd. So your generosity of spirit is something that could come to the fore with this. If there has been a situation that's been very painful and difficult, this may be pushing you to accept someone's olive branch, or to respond positively to any overtures if there has been those very close politics to you. I'm not telling you what to do. Jupiter square the Sun can be a lovely influence in terms of seeing the upside in life, thinking the best in people, and being very generous. But it's also important not to give away your power. You've worked hard at setting your boundaries in recent years, and I don't feel that you should sacrifice those too easily now. The 29th sees Mercury go into retrograde in the 4th house. So there could be some last minute changes of plan around family arrangements, but also with Mercury in such a close alliance with Venus as the year comes to a close, and then Venus with Pluto, being with the people who really matter as the curtain comes down. It doesn't necessarily have to be your blood relatives. It could be your extended family, the people you can really trust and rely upon. You may want to bring this year to a close in quite a quiet and peaceful way. That may suit you absolutely fine, but there's definitely a chance for much more lively interaction earlier in the month. But if you do find yourself just wanting to take a breath, reflect on what the previous year has meant, then do so. The most important thing, Libra, is that you're a cardinal sign. You're a leader, but you do need to have balance in your life. And if there have been situations that have been too much give and not enough get, what you need to do as 2002 ends is just protect the gains you've made. And if it does mean that some people who in the past may have been with you are not, it's because that's a hard-won awareness of who really counts and who really respects you. And that respect is much more important than affection, because it's essential for your sense of self-worth and validation. Now on Christmas Day, the moon is in Aquarius, which is very bubbly and friendly and warm, and it's forging a great link with Jupiter. So I hope you have a lovely day. If you are on your own and that's not your choice, you will be very much in my thoughts. But for all Librans, I wish you a very happy new year.